Welcome back to a quick recap of the Asian World Cup qualifiers. I'm going to go down the list of every single game that happened, and I'm going to give some key facts about that game and really just what that means for World Cup qualifying in general, who I think will make it, who is struggling. Starting with Iran 3, Kyrgyzstan 2. This is a good fought game by both sides. This game really set up that Iran has basically confirmed their spot in the World Cup, right? Them dropping out of the World Cup, I can't really see that happening. Kyrgyzstan's, on the other hand, their best hopes at qualifying for the World Cup lie in the 3rd and 4th place playoff spot. Kyrgyzstan almost completed the comeback, but really, Iran prevailed in the second half. Then Uzbekistan 1, North Korea 0. It was a solid win by Uzbekistan. It was a pretty even game, but North Korea is in the same scenario right now as Kyrgyzstan. They really need a playoff spot if they want to qualify for the World Cup. But Uzbekistan is in that second place spot of automatic qualification. Now this game, UAE 5, Qatar 0. This is the worst Qatari performance in years. I don't think I've seen them play this bad since that first game in the World Cup, that first half against Ecuador, where they basically had 3 goals scored on them, but one of them got canceled out by VAR. But, they went down 2-0, and it was a complete embarrassment in their home country. But, Qatar had more possession and all of that. But, Qatar could still qualify, but, this was an embarrassment to them. And the UAE looked really strong that game. Now going into, this is how it looks, the standings look. Iran is basically locked in. Uzbekistan doing well, the UAE doing well. Qatar is kind of struggling, and the other two really need something to happen. Now South Korea 1, Palestine 1. Palestine scored quickly, but then South Korea brought it back, and South Korea really dominated the game. I thought that they were going to win, and they were unlucky not to, in my opinion. That was Palestine's goal, and then this was South Korea's goal. They were both scored in the first 20 minutes. Now Iraq 1, Oman 0. This was a pretty even game. Iraq is extending its place in the automatic qualification spot in second place, while Oman has fallen further behind here. As you can see, this is Iraq's goal, pretty just normal standard goal. Now Jordan 1, Kuwait 1. There were 2 incredible goals scored in here. Jordan scored a curler outside of the box, while Kuwait scored an insane goal from way out. It was a very even game. Jordan is in a good position right now. They're in 3rd, while Kuwait needs something big. So this is where Kuwait scored from, way back. They had no business, shooting from there. It was way far back. So yeah, this is the standings right now for Group B. As we can see, Palestine last, Kuwait in 5th. But Kuwait and Palestine could still make something happen if they, dethrone Oman in that 4th spot, go to the playoffs. Iraq and Jordan are battling for 3rd and for 2nd, and then South Korea for 1st. Now this game, Australia 2, Bahrain 2. This game was dominated by 2 players, Kusini Yangi for Australia and Mahdi Abdul Jabbar for Bahrain. Abdul Jabbar scored a crazy goal from almost the halfway line, but Australia did play better than Bahrain. Australia scored in the first minute, but then Bahrain came back in the 70th minute, in those 10 minutes. They scored 2 goals through Abdul Jabbar, and it looked like they were going to win until the 6th minute of stoppage time, where Australia brought it back. This was Abdul Jabbar's goal from the halfway line, his celebrations of it. And then this is the main player for Australia that game, who really, clawed back a tie. But Australia did play better. Now this game, this is the craziest game throughout. Actually, no, maybe UAE, Qatar beats it. But Indonesia, Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia was a team that beat Argentina in the World Cup basically 2 years ago. From going to there to now losing to Indonesia is an insane step down. Credits to Indonesia, but they're not traditionally viewed as a World Cup caliber team, whereas Saudi Arabia are. Saudi Arabia dominated the game with 77% possession, but Indonesia still was clinical on goal, scoring those 2 goals. And I mean, Saudi Arabia just didn't do that. But I mean, it is setting up a really, close fight for second place. In between, I mean, literally every single team except for Japan could get that second place. But it's just insane to think about the fact that Saudi Arabia, are viewed as, one of the best teams in Asia. Right? I mean, actually, no, it's not even that they're viewed. It's just a fact that they are one of the better teams or one of the best teams in Asia. I mean, beating Messi, but I mean, now they lose 2-0 to Indonesia. And this is Japan 3-1 to China. I mean, this locks in Japan for their World Cup spot, basically. All three of their goals were headers, but China still do not rule them out. As you can see, they're still with 6 points left. And, I mean, really, any team there could make something happen. And I believe that any one of those teams could qualify for the World Cup.